I'm sure everyone by now has heard about the so-called Discord leaks, which emerged early this month relating to a large tranche of US intelligence reports which were leaked across various social media fora over the last couple of weeks. A lot of that intelligence does of course relate to the war in Ukraine, but how actually impactful is this leak on Ukraine's operations and the upcoming counter-offensive? I think in many respects the impact of the intelligence leaks have been slightly overblown in relation to its potential implications for Ukraine's military operations and particularly the coming counter-offensive. Kyiv has already denied that the leaks are having any bearing on the timescale for Ukraine's coming counter-offensive, and that's likely to be the case given that much of the intelligence in fact relates to pretty high-level strategic assessments rather than raw intelligence that could well seriously undermine Ukrainian operational security on the ground. Much of the information that we do have, much of the tactical intelligence does appear to be fairly standard. In fact, it would be surprising if the Russians didn't actually know that already. I think what the leaks do actually show, and one of the more interesting takeaways, is actually in relation to the US's strategic assessment of the evolution and trajectory of the conflict, which by and large does actually align with our own assessment over the last few months, namely that Ukraine and Russia respectively are unlikely to take any more than modest territorial gains over the coming months, including during Ukraine's upcoming counter-offensive. Those modest territorial gains are unlikely to be conducive to peace talks anytime soon, and ultimately we're likely to see this war continue to evolve into an attritional conflict which will likely to last for the foreseeable future and well into 2024. So the majority of the leaks do apply to high-level strategic trends and assessments, but there are some notable tactical assessments and intelligence in there which I think is worth picking into. I think one of the key takeaways from the intelligence leaks actually relates to Ukraine's air defense capability. According to the unverified US assessments, Ukraine's Soviet-era medium-range air defenses are likely to be degraded by the end of April or May. This obviously has myriad implications for not only conditions on the battlefield and potentially Russia's utilization of aircraft more effectively, but also in operational security in Ukrainian targets away from the front line, particularly in cities. While Western replacements for air defenses are coming in, including the Patriot systems, Soviet-era S-300, SA-11 Buk systems remain the backbone of Ukraine's current air defense network. If we do see in the coming months major shortages relating to these systems, as the US intelligence implies, that is going to have a significant impact on the battlefield and potentially provide Russian aerospace forces with an opportunity to make much greater use of its significant fixed-wing air fleet, which they've up until now used fairly conservatively. In the worst-case scenario, a steady degradation of Ukrainian air defenses could provide Russian aerospace forces with the capability and the opportunity to conduct medium-altitude strategic bombing of Ukrainian targets, which they haven't done up until this point in the war. Russian strategic bombing was obviously utilized to such devastating effect in their operations in Syria, and while we don't necessarily see that as an immediate concern, over the medium term, in the absence of major Western air defenses for Ukraine, serious missile shortages could well provide that opportunity and severely undermine the operational environment in Ukrainian cities. So that was just some high-level thoughts from us relating to the leaks. This is something we're keeping a very close eye on and are writing about regularly in our Ukraine coverage. If you'd like to know more, please do click the link in the description below.